Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for coming and welcome to Robert Gillespie's Big Bash book launch. Now, you're being let in from the waiting room. You're very welcome. And you're probably coming in on mute anyway. But if you aren't on mute, don't worry, we've got a technical chappie here in the background who's going to go through and diligently put everybody on mute, so you can hear from the man of the moment himself, Mr. Robert Gillespie, who's on the line here with us, which is very exciting. And I should introduce myself. I'm Greg Jameson. I'm the book editor at Entertainment Focus, and it's a great pleasure and privilege to be here tonight to talk about this book. I already have my copy. It's Are You Going to Do That Little Jump? The Adventure Continues. So you will be muted, but obviously after we've had a little chat to Robert, we'll be going to the audience Q&A. And if I ask you to ask your question, if at that point you can unmute yourself and chat to Robert, and we'll do it that way. And we do also have a chat function. So if anyone wants to add any comments or any questions that pop into their mind, we'll do our best to get through as many questions as we possibly can. But that's what the chat box there is for. So without further ado, good evening, Robert.
Hello, everybody. What a fantastic house. I can see right to the back of the stalls. It's absolutely full. Amazing.
I hope everybody can hear you right at the back of the stalls, Robert.
Can you hear me at the back of the stalls?
But we are here to talk about your new book, the Are You Going to Do That Little Jump? The Adventure Continues, which I have to say, having been privileged to have a preview copy of it and get a review out, it's a beautifully produced book. It's 260 pages, hardback, in full color, brilliantly designed, I have to say, by Paul Warrington of TCE Creative, who's done an absolutely magnificent job of just bringing everything in your archive to life. But Robert, I have to say, the subtitle is A Life in Sitcom TV, Film and Theatre, which is quite a lot to get through, isn't it? And am I also right in saying that you've been in the business now for 70 years, if it's not indiscreet of me to say that?
I went to drama school in 1951, would you believe? So I think that's dead on 70 this year.
That is quite incredible. I mean, and it's very, very hard on a shortish call like this to do justice both to the extremely rich career that you've had and the very, very many things that you've done that people are here to celebrate, from your sitcom roles to your roles in cult television series, in British films, your work in the theatre as a director and so on. And so much of it is in this book. And I'm very glad that at the back of the book, it has a What I Did When, which starts with you being born and goes up to the present day. Because IMDb, it only covers the screen credits, doesn't it? But we really must say that this book is now available to buy as of today, which is why we're here to celebrate that. So there's no need to jot it down. We'll pop it in the chat. But if you go to littlejump.co.uk/book, you can even look inside. There's an option to look inside the book, and you can see how beautifully designed it is. But Robert, we do have to somehow put some questions to you and some context. So we've got to start somewhere. So I was thinking, and we've got a little clip of this, but right on the cover of the book here, it says the Len Rossiter Rising Damp Coin Trick, which is, it's in this book. It's a brilliant story. And if anyone can't quite remember what we're talking about or needs a little refresher, I've got a little clip here. It's a 1975 episode of Rising Damp. It's called Last of the Big Spenders.
Yes, what do you want?
I'm from the gas bowl.
The gas bowl?
I'm from the gas bowl, that's right.
Is it a leak? No. I don't quite know how to put this, but I've come to cut off your supply.
You what?
I've come to disconnect you.
You can't do that.
I've got to.
Why?
You haven't paid your bill for 3/4.
Well, there's no need to get nasty, is there?
I'm not being nasty. I've got a job to do. It's my duty.
Oh, duty, that old excuse. Oh, duty. It's just like the Gestapo. They were only doing their duty.
I'm not like the Gestapo.
You come in here late at night, making threats in a pig's cap, saying off like the Gestapo. My God, now look at you. The spitting image of Himmler, you are.
I'm nothing like Himmler. He wore glasses. I don't like doing this.
Well, don't do it then.
I've got to.
You're asking for trouble. Do you want me to write to my MP?
I shouldn't.
Why not?
We cut him off last week.
Well, I've got a lot of influential friends here. I've got an African chief living upstairs. Feels the cold something dreadful. You start cutting his gas off, it could be a diplomatic incident. You'll probably be on the next plane back home, start turfing out the missionaries.
Well, I'm sorry.
You're sorry. What about my tenants, eh? They'll be cooking the suppers. They're going to be sorry too when their beans start to coagulate.
They could have a salad.
Oh, perhaps they could. Oh, yes. Thank you. Oh, you're hard-hearted, my... Well, I suppose there's nothing I can do to stop you.
I'll take money.
Look, I haven't got to 8 weeks to rub together. I wouldn't mind. Only it's never warm here at night now. I mean, what with the shrapnel and having no pension and... It gets so freezing cold in here at night.
I know, it was bitter last night. There was an inch of frost on the lawn.
Hey, feel those. Feel those feet. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're like little blocks of ice.
Yes. Oh. You know what that is, don't you? Trench foot. Anzio, up to me knees in mud for 3 days.
You poor soul. This country's got a lot to answer for.
It certainly has, mate. I've always managed up to now, you know, always managed to keep my self-respect. Until now.
I'm sorry. I do hate this job. I shall be tossing and turning all night.
It's all right for you. What about me, eh? So what about when the neighbours get to hear I shall be disgraced?
No, you won't.
What?
It's no use. I can't do it. There comes a point when a man has to make a choice. I shall go back and hand in my cap.
Oh, will you? Yes. Oh, thank you. I'm very, very grateful. I'm sorry I made that remark about the Gestapo.
Oh, that's all right.
No. A very, very hurtful thing to say. Thank you very much, Mr.
My word, we seem to have hit the jackpot.
Absolutely classic comedy scene. Perfection, Robert, I have to say. And a killer final line that you get there. And readers can read all about how that scene was made in the book. But the question really is about Leonard Rossiter, who's a bit of a comedy legend, a bit like yourself, of course, but he's not been around for quite a long time now. So he did have a reputation of being difficult to work with. Was that your experience?
No, you're right. A lot of people said that, but it never affected me at all. I absolutely loved working with Leonard because I admired him as a craftsman. He worked and worked and worked and worked, and he never left anything to chance. It was absolutely. You notice, for example, how fast he speaks. That was a kind of stock in trade of his. And I loved the way in that scene where he, in order to get that dodgy quality of Rigsby, he doesn't quite finish his sentences. So you get this very, untrustworthy sense about him. Actually, now you mention it, this scene is a very good example of why he might have got a reputation for being difficult. Because to go back to the coin trick, how do you do that? Nothing happened at rehearsal. Then on the day of the recording, Leonard says, "What I want, please, is a large matchbox in my left pocket with one end open and on a pivot. I want it full of coins, and in the other pocket, open up the end and just tack it lightly, put some coins in there, and then with the coins that I've stolen from the gas meter, I'll put my hands into my pockets, and at the right moment, I'll just burst through them." And he went on, and you're right. That's when the eyebrows started to lift and the eyes to roll, as if he was a bit of a problem. The fascinating thing is, you saw how that scene ends. It ends. We did a run, and the coins fell up through his pockets, down his legs. Nothing. Silence. But of course, in television studios, the floor is made of composition. So the coins didn't make any sound at all. So Leonard said, Ronnie, what Robert and I will need here, where we finish the scene, if you don't mind, is a piece of plywood, so we can hear the rattle of the coins. So that's the kind of thing that made people go, oh no, it's Leonard again, you know. But to me, he was just wanting to get the scene right. And if you notice that we did that scene in one take, no retakes at all, and that's entirely because of Leonard's the work he did preparing it. He, you know, wardrobe, whoever, props, he got them to do it, and it worked first time.
So it was a solid work ethic. He was a professional and a perfectionist, I suppose you could say.
Superb, superb.
Okay. Well, you also, as well as guest starring in goodness knows how many situation comedies of the classics of the golden era. I mean, we could sit here and name so many of them, from Dad's Army to The Liver Birds to Robin's Nest, up Pompeii. It would take the whole evening just to name all the sitcoms you were in. But another thing you touched upon was a bit of film work as well. Now, most of your work was either theatre or TV, but you did occasionally venture into film and into a really good comedy film as well, with an absolutely stellar cast that you mention in the book.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Does that cast look familiar?
Extremely familiar, yes.
Okay, well, if anyone doesn't know, it didn't quite get who those actors were, we do have a little clip of that. And it's a 1971 film called The Magnificent Seven Deadly Sins, Robert. So let's have a look at it. And then you can tell us what you make of it, really, and what you thought of working on film, and certainly with this amazing cast.
Can I be of any assistance, sir?
It's a good job you arrived. He just stopped in getting the biggest idea of his life.
I was just going to put him away.
Yeah? All right, then. Come on, let's see. Come. Go.
Gentlemen, please. Has there been an accident?
Not yet.
This fellow refuses to back up.
It's not up to me to back up. I'm further up the lane than he is.
Well, you are not. Obviously, one of you'll have to back up, won't you? Gentlemen, I must, without fear or favour, exercise my discretion.
Now, is that your car, sir?
Naturally. Right, come on, back up.
Yeah, but
Come along, sir. No, please, now, come on. Now,
it's not for me to move.
back up. Some people just don't know how to behave on the road. Very nice cars, these, aren't they?
Thank you very much.
Has your AA badge fallen off by any chance, sir?
No, I only belong to the RAC.
Oh, dear. Only people with your class of car usually belong to both organisations. Not that I've anything against the RAC, of course. And I know we do not boast the royal prefix. But our past president is the Duke of Edinburgh.
Look, this is no time to tout for business. Are you going to get him to back up or not?
My first consideration must be, regardless of my own personal feelings, to our member.
Hey, I've just noticed. He's not one of your lot, and I am.
Do I understand that you are asking me to back up?
If you wouldn't mind, sir.
Well, I bloody well do mind. I'm not going to.
Having a little spot of bother, sir.
Look,
yes, he won't back up.
Do you mind? I'm speaking to my member. You were saying, sir?
This car is blocking my way and the driver refuses to back up.
Have they been intimidating you, sir? We'll soon sort this out. Come along now, back up. It's your duty to look after my interests. That's what you're paid for.
My member categorically refuses to move his vehicle in any other direction than forwards.
Good lad.
As representative of the senior organisation...
As the what?
Senior organisation, we were formed before you were.
Who's got the most members?
Quite obvious. My member is farther up the lane than your member.
Well, there's an easy way to settle it.
Wonderful stuff, Robert. So do tell us about that. What was that? What was that like being on film and with such a great cast?
Well, the thing that strikes me most about that was the director, Graham Stark, because he was a kind of lesser goon. And he spent a lot of his time being a bit like Spike Milligan and Peter Sellers and messing about. And in fact, the title of the movie, where he jumps up the word magnificent over the title, I think he thought that was a bit goonish. I could never quite understand why. And of course, there aren't any cowboys in this movie. So why the magnificent seven deadly sins, I don't know. But it was enormous, of course, privilege to meet people like those two, Alfie Bass and Ian Carmichael, on a set, So, and of course, it was a very nice script, not a goonish script at all. It was a very old-fashioned, solid comedy script, So It was a great pleasure to do it, It
was written by one of the two comedy legends, wasn't it? It might have been Clement and Lefrene.
Yes, it was one of those double acts. That's right.
Bolton and Simpson, perhaps, because
I'd have to look it up. I've still got the script, so.
Right. Well, then you'd know. I mean, the names would be on the script, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but yes, it was great fun to do. Enormous fun. But that's my longest ever bit of screen time, by the way.
Oh, interesting. So on the big screen, that was your meatiest.
That was the ultimate. Yeah.
Okay. Well, of course, you are best known for sitcom, and we couldn't not have a little bit of Keep It in the Family, which is, of course, the series that I would say you're best known for 5 seasons of playing the lead in a major British sitcom that was from the early 1980s, and that a lot of us grew up with or found on the repeat runs and so on. But it's been I think a huge part of many people's childhoods and early lives, and that we retain very fond memories of it ever since. So let's have a very quick reminder of an episode of Keep It in the Family, and then we'll get your thoughts on how it came about and how much you identify with the character of Dudley Rush. So let's have a quick look.
Dessert.
You've got treacle pudding, haven't you?
Yes.
With cream.
With double cream.
I've got prunes.
Yes. I threw on a sunflower seed just as a treat.
That's all I need. Whopping great sunflowers growing out the top of my head. I'll have John Bratby round here doing a portrait.
I'll have some goat's cheese instead.
Yeah, I will. It's got no artificial preservatives in this.
That's probably why it's gone off.
No, it always smells like this. Goat herds in Russia live to be 110, and they eat it all the time.
I think I'd rather die.
On a stone ground whole bran biscuit.
What's it like?
Bloody awful. Still, it's healthy. Might even cure my stomach problem.
You haven't got a stomach problem.
Yes, I have. I can't get my trousers over it. It's all right for you skinny people. 2 more navels, and you'd look like a flute. Hello.
Dudley, that page of drawings was due 3 days ago.
This is Cringe, the butler, sir. I'll see if the master wishes to speak to you.
Now listen.
He's in the billiard room, snookering the downstairs maid.
Don't give me that. If you're the butler, I'm the Prime Minister.
I'll tell him you called, madam.
Terrific stuff, Robert. And of course, I should have said, there you are in all your glory as Dudley Rush in the double-page spread of the book. So Dudley Rush and Robert Gillespie, the part was written for you. Are you just like Dudley Rush in real life?
Well, I was in an episode of Robin's Nest, which Brian Cook also co-wrote. And he said, how about a series? Would you like to front a series? I says, I don't mind, And he said, I've got an idea for a character. He's a manic depressive. So I said, fine. I didn't think particularly qualified as a managing director, but I mean, nobody was going to say no to Brian Cook writing a series. So, you know, fine, and up it came.
So did you, how easy did you find it to play Dudley Rush, though? Did you find the character sort of came naturally to you? Because it was...
That's absolutely fascinating, because I got this script and, you know, it had quite a lot of lines. And I started to panic. I thought, how do I say these lines? Who am I supposed to be? And in fact, I started asking around. I asked Anna, my partner, I said, how do I play? The point being that until then, for the whole of my professional life, I had never played myself. I didn't know what it was like. And so I actually got quite scared. And in fact, I went to Brian and I went to Sarah. This is Robert, it's you. I said, what do you mean? I said, you just come on as you. And you wouldn't believe how difficult I found that at first. But you get used to it, you know, you kind of think, this is me. So the curious thing is you can start to ask, who am I? You know, how do I come over as me? As opposed to all these other things that I was hired to do, you know. So it was a really, I suppose, philosophically, it was a fascinating existential experience, you know.
Yes, but Dudley had that wonderful manic quality, didn't he? And all the flights of fantasy, and you brought that to life so brilliantly well. I mean, there may be other questions that people have about Keep It in the Family. But just before we get to the audience Q&A, we do have one more clip which we want to show, which is one of your more recent projects from 2017, which again features quite predominantly in the book, where you have a scene, you're driving a taxi cab and your passenger is a modern Hollywood legend. This chap says it was the worst night of my life. This is a newspaper article about him. And he says he found himself in London on the run from the police. Now he's turning that wild night into a single take film, which was being beamed live into cinemas. Quite an audacious project. So if anyone hasn't seen Lost in London, here's a very quick clip with Robert in it, and see if you can see who the Hollywood actor is.
So this, can you hurry? Hey, let's go just a little faster. Go right on, please. Go to the lights, dude. Just go to the lights.
What's the hurry? Life is about the journey, not the destination.
You know, I assure you right now, it is about the destination.
We're in the hands of the goddess Kali. She's a creator and destroyer. It all depends on the mood she's in.
Well, I don't think she's in a very good mood tonight.
The stars can't shine without darkness.
In the spirit of full disclosure, I gotta tell you, I don't have any money on me.
Can you speak a piece of verse for me? Something uplifting.
I memorized this when I was 7. I told the sun that I was glad. I'm sure I don't know why. Somehow the pleasant way it had him shining in the sky just put a notion in my head that wouldn't it be fun if while walking on the hill I said, I'm happy to the sun.
That's beautiful. I feel I should be paying you.
No, we'll just call it even, you know, that's fine. I'll tell you what. You can just pull over right here. This is fine, sir. Thank you so much. You're a gentleman.
A wonderful little character part there, Robert. Do tell us about it.
A wonderful bit of back of the head acting, I thought.
I'd recognize the back of that head anywhere. It's quite clearly you.
Well, what happened was that my last agent said, there's this amazing guy called Woody Harrelson who's making his first ever feature film, and he's looking for a 100-year-old cabbie. And so I turned up at this large room with lots of creative people all around it, you know, script writers, actors, wardrobe people, everything. And Woody just sat me opposite him and said, you know, thing is, I get in a cab, but I have a row with this previous cabbie, and then I get into your cabbie and your cab, and you know, you're very old and you don't drive, but I don't want to be, you know, what can we do with this character to make it? So I got a review about being a mystical cabbie, and that was prompted by Woody, because he didn't want it all to be, you know, kind of down the middle and straight. And so we ended up with me, you know, mooning about the goddess Kali, and the journey being more important than the destination. The interesting thing about that film was that he made it as an apology to his wife, because he'd been in the tabloids. It was quite a few years before, featured on the front with some rather dishy-looking young women, and it almost ended up in the divorce courts. And this, after some years, was his apology to his wife. And he was still married. He brought his kids along. It was actually very, very moving. And of course, I can't. One has to underline the fact that whole film, 90 minutes of it, was handheld by John Hembrough all the way through. Everything had to be close by so that we could go from. I mean, there was an old art school. There was a nightclub in it, a restaurant, and then the local streets where we parked the cabs, etc., etc. It all had to be extremely close, so that John Hembrough could literally follow every single bit of action right through to the end. I still find it astonishing. And then, as you say, it went out live to about 500 cinemas. Amazing.
Yeah. It is incredible, and I think it was an underrated film as well. I found it, as you said, moving. It is a story about redemption.
Yes.
It's very, very funny and touching and genuine in parts.
Some brilliant stuff in it. Brilliant.
Woody Harrelson, Owen Wilson,
yes,
Willie Nelson, and of course Robert Gillespie. So what more could viewers want?
I wouldn't cross the street to see me in it, but you know, it's an amazing back of the head. Yeah.
But there, in just a few short minutes, Robert. I mean, we've covered. You mentioned you started out in 1951. There you were in 2017, working with Woody Harrelson, and you know we've only just sort of scratched the surface of a very, very interesting life and career. A lot of which is contained within this extraordinary book. So I know that there are lots more questions that people want to put to you. So we will get to the audience Q&A if you're ready for some questions. So I know we've got some questions here that have been submitted. So if you'd like to unmute yourself, Samuel Payne, if you're on the call, Samuel, if you can put your question to Robert, please.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, Robert.
Hello, hello, hello.
So my question is this. You've acted on stage as well as on TV. What's the difference, and do you prefer one over the other?
The difference is really technical, because in each medium you're trying to be, being somebody different most of the time. But you're right. One can slip up, because there have been occasions when somebody's given a wonderful performance in the National Theatre on stage, and the casting director says, "Oh, I think they'd be great in this movie." And then they turn up in a scene in a movie with quite a big part, and the first thing they say, "Pass me the marmalade, please." And they have to be toned down. But usually a talented actor, it won't take him very long. So you're still pretending to be somebody else usually, but you work to the medium. Obviously, there's a different kind of pitch and a slightly different kind of energy, but otherwise, and they're both enjoyable. I think. I mean, there's some actors specialize, but I found both the mechanical media and the stage very enjoyable.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Robert. Let's go to Pam Rostron. Pam, if you're on the call, if you can unmute yourself and talk to Robert.
Hi there. Yes, hi. Let's try my video as well. Oh, there we go. Robert, I was for 28 years a television curator with the BFI National Archive, and obviously there are quite a few of your performances preserved in there, but I was wondering if you could only actually choose one of them to be preserved for posterity, do you have a particular favourite that you would choose?
Oh my goodness. Oh, well, since I spent most of the time being funny, I would go to the moment where I got probably the biggest laugh I ever got in my life, which was in an episode of Keeping in the Family, in a court scene. I think it was called All Through the Night. And I'd been working very hard, and I was a juryman, and I went to sleep. And if you see the scene, I don't know.
Do you want to see it, Robert?
Have you got a clip of that?
We do actually have that clip because
I think this will tell you why I think it's one of my favourite things ever.
Yeah, if we want to see it, we do have it here. We very nearly use this as the Keep It in the Family scene.
How would you like me to? I'm not sure of the spelling.
Well, do your best.
Yes. You.
Thank you. Yes. I think the jury have to read this.
Yeah.
Read this.
What?
Read this.
That's a very kind offer, but I'm a married man.
Oh, pass it along. What? Give it to him next to you.
You think it's from me? What seems to be the trouble?
Nothing. Nothing at all, really.
Well, don't put it in your pocket. Pass it along to the rest of the jury.
I don't think I should. It's sort of private.
I think that's a good choice, Robert. If anyone's interested, yes, that was a 1980 episode of Keep It in the Family called All Through the Night with Pat Coombs.
By the way, that you have seen a supreme example of an actor milking a situation. Never mind double takes, there were quadruple takes in that.
So that's a very good choice of one to preserve for posterity, I think. Let's see if, do we have Dale Madden on the call? If so, if you could put your question to Robert, please. Okay, if not, we'll go to Philip Hawkins.
Hi, Robert.
Hello.
Hi, I was wanting to know what your memories of working on the New Avengers, The Last of Cybernauts.
Well, it's a long time ago. And what I have a memory of being killed but mechanically in a rather unpleasant way. But I don't remember much in detail because, I mean, that's going back a bit.
Do you remember the director, Sidney Hares?
I can't say I can place him, no. I know I was in it because, again, I've still got the script. But yeah, I have actually seen a clip of it, and which reminded me, but I don't think I've since then I've ever seen the full episode.
Oh yeah, it's a great episode, wonderful episode.
Oh, good.
Unfortunately, I don't think we do have that clip, Robert. Unfortunately, but yes, I agree with Philip. It's very good. You sort of get chopped and do this spectacular fall onto the floor. That's you fall down like a sack of potatoes. It's extremely well done. Very good death scene.
Oh right, let's check it out.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's worth seeing. Do we have Chris Sadler on the call, please? You can put your question to Robert.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, Greg. Hello, Robert.
Hello.
I just wondered who was the easiest. Hello there. I just wondered who was the easiest, most creatively generous star you ever worked with.
Well, I worked a number of times, and then I started to write with Peter Jones, because I remember I think it was an episode of Beggar My Neighbor, and I was doing my usual behind the desk official sort of person, and Peter came in with a coat slung over his shoulder. And just as we were going to start the scene, he said, I was just I took a cue, and he said, just a minute. He said, why don't you ask me if I'm trying to sell you a carpet? So I thought, okay. And in fact, I did it on the recording, and he got an enormous laugh. And I think that was extremely generous of one actor to hand over a big laugh to another actor. We got on very well after that as well. He was a great guy, Peter Jones, wonderful man.
Lovely, thank you. Good luck with the book.
Sorry?
Good luck with the book.
Yes, thank you very much indeed. Yes.
Thank you, Chris, and a good response, Robert. Do we have Richard Smith on the line, please, to put your question to Robert?
Hello, Robert. How are you?
Hello. I'm still alive. You can see I'm speaking. Which is a bit of a miracle,
that's
really.
A bonus. So that's always a bonus, isn't it? I suppose.
Absolutely, absolutely.
In a way, you've already answered the question I'd submitted about how you felt about the change of character from the normally very dour sort of characters you played in other sitcoms to the rather not necessarily over the top sort of character that you did in the Keep It in the Family. So I wonder if I could ask another question of you.
Good.
Which was, how do you feel performing in front of a live audience? I mean, is it sort of a brown trouser job, or do you really enthuse in that sort of environment?
Well, you prompted me to answer a question which actors never face themselves if they possibly can, and very few people come up with. But I can now reveal a trade secret to you. In all the sitcom I've ever done and all the live recordings, there's only one actor I know who enjoyed it. Every other actor, whether they were stars or small bit players, was terrified. But it came with the territory. I mean, Pauline Yates used to say to me regularly before the recording, he says, why do we do it to ourselves? Regularly, all the time. But it doesn't stop you, you know. But it's like going over the top every time you act, whereas on the stage, the stage is forgiving, because you can say, I got this a little bit odd and that was a little bit odd tonight, but I'll get it right tomorrow night. You can't do that in sitcom. You've got a very short time to be perfect. you know.
Right.
So I can't remember his name because he's not a star, but somebody said, oh, I absolutely love going on and, you know, with a live audience in sitcom. Everybody else ever that I ever knew hated it.
All right, well, I'm really looking forward to reading the book. It looks really, really interesting.
Well,
Thank
I
you
hope
for
you
your
enjoy
time.
it. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Richard. And thank you, Robert. Yes, we do have another question. It's from Keith Waite. Keith, if you can put your question to Robert, please. Thank you.
Yes, good evening. Good evening, Robert.
Good evening.
Thank you for your book. I was privileged in having a little preview of it, so that is puts me a little bit of an advantage. But I think my question was probably very similar to the one that Pam, I think it was, put earlier on. Actors always feel when they've done a particular part that it's they've done it well or they haven't done it so well, and sometimes you just know when you've done something and it's really, really worked. So I was just wanted to ask you, what is the best part, as far as you're concerned, that you've ever played, the part that's given you the most satisfaction having done it? And as a little corollary to that, can I ask, what part did you find the most memorable? Now, when I say memorable, it can be in the positive sense, or it can be in the negative sense. So for better or worse, what is your best memory of a role?
Well, all in all, I think one of the most rewarding things I ever did was the downbeat, long-suffering copper in Whatever Happened to the Likely Lads, because there were such superb scripts, and of course we had you know, Rodney Bewes and Jimmy Bolam doing all the work, being the funny guys really, and so it was wonderful, given the opportunity to be the sort of straight guy, chipping in lines, in a way undermining all their exuberance. So I think you know, there are so many things that were enjoyable to do, but that because of the combination of the situation, the character, and the scripts, I think that was one of the most enjoyable thing, because I think I did several episodes of that, playing that same policeman.
We do actually have a 1-minute clip, Robert, if you'd like.
Oh, really?
Of one of your appearances in The Likely Lads.
Oh, gosh.
It's very short. It's only 1 minute.
In front of Thelma's mother, she nearly had a heart attack when a policeman asked me for my road tax.
Alive, is he?
We're very sorry, sir. We're very sorry for any inconvenience we might have caused you, sir.
What's going to happen? There'll be no charges, lad. Come on, get yourselves off home.
Thank you very much, sir.
You'll never learn. Stag parties. Why didn't you have it a few days earlier? Then have a quiet night in before the wedding. It's an important day, you know. It's the most important of your life. You don't want to turn up looking and feeling terrible, like I did.
I'll remember next time, sir.
How many wives are you planning on? Come on, let's get you home and get you dressed. Oh, here, by the way. I think these are yours.
Well, that should get a laugh at the wedding.
Are you still happy with that as your answer, Robert?
Oh, yes, because I mean, otherwise, you know, we'd be here all night.
Yes, well, we have just got a couple more that have come through on the chat, and then we'll wind up because we are coming to time. So on the buses database, Craig, did you want to put your question forward, or shall I read it for you?
Yeah, I'll put it forward.
Thank you.
Hi, Robert.
Hello,
nice to see you again.
How are you?
Nice to see you again, Robert. Wish you the best of luck.
To see you.
Just to ask, you've worked with so many great actors in your time, James Bolam, Leonard Rossiter, Ronnie Barker. Who would you say, needn't be one of them, but who would you say you held in the highest esteem?
Wow. Do you know, most of you won't have ever heard of this guy, but there was an actor called Michael Horden in my very first job at the Old Vic, and he played Malvolio in Twelfth Night. And he was absolutely magnificent because he was wonderful at playing pompous officials. But then, of course, he falls in love with Olivia, and he goes and he comes on wooing her, and he looks completely demented. And the way he used to kiss his hands to her used to frighten everybody. He was so magnificent that the cast used to come down from their dressing rooms and sit in the stalls and actually watch this amazing actor rehearse because they could learn so much from him. I think he's in a few movies, but it's hard to evoke somebody, but I will never forget Michael Horden. I was probably very impressionable because it was my first job, but and he was a great comic actor, and so he's the person I remember.
Thanks, Robert.
Excellent.
Pleasure.
Best of luck with your book.
Thank you very much.
Michael Horden, wonderful actor. Some of his screen roles are still very memorable. And I think we have a final question, which is from Andrew, who interviewed you for Network more recently. Andrew,
yes.
On the call. And if we've missed anyone, then please do let yourself be known in the chat. But we're coming to you now, Andrew. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Gillespie.
Good evening.
How do you do, sir? A quick question. Do you have any memories about being directed by Terence Fisher in Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed?
Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. Oh, yes. Yes. What I remember about that was a kind of team devotion to quietly make money on a low budget without interruptions. You were not allowed to do any retakes on that shoot because I remember Peter Cushing was in that. And I remember I've never done anything so quickly and efficiently. Normally on a movie, you're sometimes kept over the next day. You turn up, say, lunchtime, and then say, sorry, we haven't got to you today, see you tomorrow. On that, I arrived sort of whenever it was, noon. I was on the set within 4 hours. It was an absolute record. And there was this hushed atmosphere of a beautifully oiled money-making machine. And everybody, the director kept his voice down, and it was kind of cool, but the rule was, and I was warned about this, whatever you do, there will be no retakes. It was hilarious because somebody in that, they did the scene, rehearsed it a couple of times and then did it. And one of the actors did actually think that he might have just slurred a syllable somewhere. And there was a little kerfuffle for about 2.5 minutes. And they said, no, we'll accept that. Because if there was a proper fluff, they just cut around it. They would never retake. And as a result, those films were economically and financially extremely successful, I think.
Thank you very, very much.
And it's probably worth pointing out, Andrew, that there is a little picture of Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed in the book there. So,
another reason why I'm going to put an order in.
It is definitely
good.
Noted.
Excellent.
Thank you indeed, sir.
You'll all have to wait, by the way, because I promise you that we will get the books. There'll be a minor delay while we get them wrapped up and put in the post.
Thank you very much.
And we should also mention, Robert, that they are, of course, going to be signed copies.
Yes, everyone all this signed, that's right.
Yep. So just a reminder once again that they are available from littlejump.co.uk/book. And please do stay in touch with us. We're going to put a couple of links in the chat here. One where you can buy the book, and the other to Robert's Facebook page, and where you can also follow him on Twitter. So all the latest developments and so on and so forth, we will be signposting you in the right direction on those social media channels. So it only remains for me to thank you all for coming and asking such brilliant and intelligent questions, and getting the best out of somebody who's been in the business for so long. And if you want to unmute yourselves and give Robert a round of applause, please feel free to do so. But thank you, Robert. Thank you for sharing all your memories.
I should bow to Robert.
Thank you all very much indeed for coming.
Thank you very much.